What's going on, people? It's Saturday afternoon, and time to talk about another Seattle Seahawks football game. We're going out of the conference, we're going across the country, and we're going to take on the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. So, what do we say about this one? Baltimore, they're 4-8 this year. They're having a bad year. They're pretty much out of the race. They've had all kinds of injuries, and they're obviously having a down season, but I don't think they're as bad as the record indicates. They're 4-8, but to me, they are an average team that has had some bad luck in close games. I mean, you can go down the list. Every game they played this year had a final score of, 8 points or less, within 8 points or less, one way or the other. And to me, that says that they are probably a team that, if you went through the season again, would probably finish somewhere closer to 6-6. And they've just had some bad luck. Going all the way back to week 1, Steve Smith drops the game-winning touchdown. Oakland, the game-ending interception gets called back on penalty. You can keep going down the list, and they have had to overcome some really tough stuff throughout the whole season. And their wins, too. All their wins have been close. I mean, they got very lucky to beat Pittsburgh back in week 4. And, even against the Rams, I think there were a couple missed field goals in there that allowed them to get out of there with that win in regulation. So they're a tough team to put a real finger on. They're a team that has played everybody tough this year, but at the end of the day, they have a couple problems they haven't been able to overcome. However, a lot of that probably not really going to apply that much this week because they are down 2 quarterbacks, and we are probably going to get another start against Jimmy Clausen. It's only happened a few times in NFL history where one team gets to play an opposing quarterback twice on different teams, because we played Jimmy Clausen in week 3 when we played the Bears, and now we're probably going to get him tomorrow. Matt Schaub, he could play, but he didn't practice all week, so I don't know why you'd put him out there. So if it is Jimmy Clausen, then I kind of expect the Ravens to do what the Bears did back in week 3, which is, don't even really, winning the game is not even that important at this point. I mean, their season's over, and they're obviously up against a really tough ask. So what you might see is they just run the ball, punt, and hope that we do something really dumb that lets them back in the game and they can get some easy points and maybe eke out a win. But they might end up saying, we're just going to hope that the Seahawks make that stupid mistake. And if they don't, then, we're just going to lose. But we don't want to take any chances and bury ourselves, 17-0 in the second quarter or anything like that. We want to give the, Seahawks a chance to bury themselves. And if they don't do it, we're not going to win. I mean, if you look back at that Bears game, the Bears, they didn't go for it on 4th down once, and several opportunities they probably should have. They didn't take any chances. They just ran the ball, threw it short, didn't want to turn the ball over, didn't want to take any big negative plays, and they were just like, okay, if Wilson throws a pick 6 or 2 or something, then we'll be in this game, but if not, then we'll just take our loss and move on to next week. So if we get Jimmy Clausen, that's probably what we're looking at. So it'll be one of those games where, the opposing offense doesn't do much of anything except run the ball and try to avoid turnovers. If we get Matt Schaub, it could be a little different. And full circle, we're kind of the team that wrecked Matt Schaub in Houston. He still had a reputation as being a pretty decent quarterback going into that 2013 season, and he fell apart in the 2013 season, and the catalyst for that was really kind of the pick 6 he threw to eventually lose the game when they played us down in Houston. And now we get him in what could be the last season of his career. We'll see. It's up to him. But with Matt Schaub out there, I don't know what to make of this Ravens team. And with Jimmy Clausen out there, I know even less of what to make of them. If you look at their stats this year in terms of, their team output, they're very average. They're right near the middle of the league in terms of the number of points they give up and the number of points they score. They're below average in rushing, but they're a little above average in passing. Of course, most of that was with Flacco at quarterback all year. So it gets kind of tough. And also, Justin Forsett, he's been injured for last few games now. He was their best running back, so they don't have him. Steve Smith, senior, was senior. It's still a little weird to me. I'm still not used to that. But Steve Smith was their best wide receiver for much of the season, and he's on injured reserve now as well. They're down to, I think it's Lamar Aiken as their number one wideout. And, you know, to go further down the injury list, they've had tight end problems this year. They have offensive line problems. Eugene Monroe just went on injured reserve. Defensively, they've been missing Terrell Suggs the whole season. So, you know, if you try to evaluate this team by looking at their performance over the season, you have to keep in mind that they're missing almost all of their big-time impact players this year. They don't have their top two quarterbacks, probably. They don't have their starting running back. They don't have their best wide receiver. I think they're going to have their best tight end tomorrow. Their offensive line is injured. They're missing one of their key defensive players in Terrell Suggs. So I look at this team and I see a team that on the whole this season has actually been about average, but realistically, at this point, with the roster that they have going into tomorrow, they're probably one of the worst teams in football. And as long as we don't do anything really dumb, it should just be get a few points up on the board and get out of there with a win. So on our side, Marshawn Lynch still out, obviously. DeMarcus Dobbs out, and Jordan Hill probably not going to go. He could go, but probably not. So the only thing you can be even the least bit afraid of going into this game is the defensive line depth. Of course, I was worried about that last week, and we got out of there with no damage done because the team played so well in the early portions that our lack of defensive line depth didn't even matter, because by the time we got to the end of the game was already over. We didn't have to test our thin defensive line depth. So, you know, this is probably going to be another day where if we come out strong, we start strong, we should be able to take care of it. And if not, then, you know, if we're punting the ball back after 3 and out, and if we're giving up third down conversions, then you're going to test the strength of your defensive line without 2 of their key contributors, and then you run into problems, because then you get tired, then you start giving up, you know, 6-yard run, 6-yard run, 5-yard run, and you can't get off the field, and then you get into trouble. So get ahead of them early and then just kind of sit on it for the rest of the game and should be able to take care of it. Other than that, shouldn't be much of a problem getting out of there with a W. Got to watch out for them. They've been playing teams tough all year. I mean, if we blow them out, we'll be the first team to have done that all year. But at the same time, I don't know if that even proves anything because of all the backups they're playing. So, other than that, after the Thursday night game, we're pretty much drawing dead to win the division. But it's not out of the question yet. We just got to watch scoreboard watch and hope for the best. And at this point, I'm pretty much setting my sights on the 5 seed. But if we win today, we'll be in the 5 seed. And I know the Vikings still have to play the Packers, so we could end up leaving the Vikings, you know, kind of in our rearview mirror if we get on a roll from here. So we fought through the tough part of the schedule. We had to play a whole bunch of good teams to start the season. Even, you know, the Packers, they're not looking so great right now, but they're still good. Packers, Bengals, Panthers, Vikings, Steelers, and the Cardinals. And now this is our reward. We get 3 games in a row against teams that are not good. Ravens, Browns, Rams, and just got to mop up. So I'll make my post-game video after the game, and can't see anything going wrong here unless we, you know, let the game stay close in the 4th quarter and end up having to test our defensive line depth. All right, catch you guys later.